Good afternoon, friends, and welcome back to West Fork. Well, winter is starting to bear down on us a little bit. It was 19 degrees this morning, starting to get colder and last longer. I don't think it warmed up above freezing till late in the morning. So we've been laying in a little bit more firewood. Had a nice day the other day and went out and got a nice big load of Douglas fir. But yeah, today I'm cutting up a year's supply of Fatwood. I've got these nice Fatwood bolts that I cut a couple years ago and I've been saving. They're pretty resinous. They look pretty dry and lifeless on the outside, but if you cut into them, there's some pretty good Fatwood in there. So let's grab a chunk of this and see what's inside. Gonna chip off some of this burned edges. So this was in a forest fire years ago, and you go out there and there's a bunch of tree stumps. Sometimes there's logs. Oh man, that's a nice piece. Yeah, so I got my poor man's shake fro for splitting. I'll tell you about that later, how I came into that. And my Harbor Freight $5 dead blow hammer. Oh man, that's a hard piece. Oh, but that's good stuff. Yeah, that is good stuff. I'm gonna have to go looking and try to find another little stash. Oh yeah. That's not solid pitch like some Fatwood is, but it's got lots of resin in there and it's really great for fire starter. Probably as good as the stuff you get at the grocery store. Another nice piece. Yeah, so it's getting pretty close to deer hunting season. I'm gonna need to start practicing with my bow because I'm hunting the late archery season this year. And haven't shot in a while, but there's been a lot of deer moving through. And matter of fact, I hadn't even had my game cameras turned on yet. So earlier this morning, I went out and checked the battery on my game camera and put a fresh card in there. So maybe in a few days I can share if there's any game moving through. Put a fresh card in here. I don't know when the last time was that I had this thing going. The old mineral lick's still looking good. They've been working on that. That's just pure salt there, but this is a mineral lick over here. There's still quite a bit there. The deer follow this fence line, and I've been seeing a lot of does almost daily. And also, we've had a bear coming through at night. I had a bale of alfalfa hay up in the barn, and he got that and drug it out, and he also got into our garbage and spread it all over the place. So we've had to lock things down pretty good. Yeah, here's more sign of that bear. I stored this molasses up in the barn, and he's chomped some holes in it and spread it out on the ground, and looks like he's been coming up here quite a bit. I've had this Harbor Freight dead blow hammer for nigh on 10 years. Well, maybe not. It says Stanley on it. Definitely, it's a Stanley. So, no wonder. No wonder it's holding up so well, but boy, it really packs a wallop. Great for cutting out fatwood chunks. Anyhow, I got this froe. I was wanting a froe, and I started pricing them. The one I really wanted was a Gransfors Bruck. They have a really nice little split and froe, and they're just beautiful. And the price, well, they're probably worth every penny, but I just couldn't afford one. But I still wanted to get a froe. So I ordered a froe on Amazon. It was probably the cheapest one I could find. It was about this long, about that long, and I just needed it for kindling. I didn't need anything that huge. It had this handle on it that was too small to really seat itself in the froe there, so every time you'd strike it, the handle would get loose. So that was driving me crazy. So anyhow, this thing was made, well, it was made in a country. I'm not going to mention where it was made, but it starts with a CH. And it had glossy black paint all over it. It was just the ugliest froe you ever saw. And I really wanted it to look more like a Gransfors shake froe for 20 bucks. So what I did is I cut it off the length that I wanted, and then I rounded the end off because it was just a square piece of metal. Rounded that off on the grinder, and then this morning I broke out the shave horse for the first time. This is a birch branch. This was dead. I cut this branch last year. It was in the trail, so I knew where it was. I went back there and got it, peeled it down, made a pretty snazzy little froe handle out of it, and it is working awesome. I drove it on there tight, so it's not coming off while I'm working, and it looks cool. Yeah, I need a year's supply of this Fatwood fire starter. And as it gets colder here, we'll have nights where you can watch the temperature drop around dusk, and you just know it's going to be one of those nights. It's going to dip down to 15 to 20 below. That happens a lot. So wake up in the morning, 4 a.m., fire went out. It's 55 degrees in the cabin, and that's no time to be scrounging around for fire starter. So every year about this time, I cut enough to last us all year. I've done this so many times now, I kind of have a system. I hold my hand like this and I cut this part like this. And I got 5 nice pieces of fatwood. I can throw them in the box. So it's a lot quicker that way because you don't have to bend over and pick everything up. If I were to split it just like this, that one just went on the ground. I might get lucky most of the time and get them to lay down. And this might be a funner way, but it seems like I usually end up with a lot of them on the ground. And this just works so nice. Do about 5 at a time. Because there's 365 days in the year. So I'm going to need quite a few. Now that's kind of junky stuff there. And one cool thing about this job is you get to burn all of your scrap wood in the fire pit there. And sometimes when the wood has a lot of scrap wood, you can get a pretty big fatwood fire going. That's what I like. That's a fire. Oh, I put some pretty big chunks on there, but then I decided not to put any more on there. It's a good thing. Let's see what we got here. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back down there, see if there's any more of this. This is Okanagan gold. Oh, you got to look at this. This is just beautiful straight grain, easy split, and Okanagan gold. Beautiful, beautiful fatwood. This can deal them like a deck of cards. That's just awesome. Yeah, I'm loving this. This little poor man fro. I think I measured that at 12 inches. For cutting kindling, it works out great. Yeah, I cut the blade off at 12 inches. And it's perfect for this kind of work. I'm not going to go commercial split and shakes or anything. And I wanted something that would be balanced. And this works just great. A little more fatwood for the fire there. So yeah, if you look on Amazon, you can find these. I mean, they're ugly when you get them. All painted. What I did to get rid of the ugly paint on there is I put it in the wood stove, put it on a bed of coals in the wood stove until it was glowing hot. And I don't have blacksmith tools, so I had a bright idea to grab. It's a good thing I didn't film this, but I grabbed some vice grips and I pulled it out of the fire. It was glowing red. I ran outside with it. I had some motor oil out there in a little cup, and I was just going to brush it on there. This is how smart I am. So I held it with the vice grip and I started brushing on there, and it was smoking real good. And I'm just thinking, oh yeah, that's getting a nice finish on it. And it burst into flames, and it shot a big ball of flames that big around. I had to back off. So then it looked so nice where I did that I wanted to do the whole thing, which I ended up doing, but I did it at arm's length, and every time I'd do it, a big ball of flames would fly up. But yeah, don't do it that way. But yeah, then I quenched it in a bucket of ice water, and turned out pretty good. Still rings too, so I didn't ruin it. And yeah, I like it now. This is my Grantsford Brook Wildlife Hatchet. And you see that tomahawk shape? That is magic for cutting fatwood, because you can just use the very edge to chop, and it's really safe. Just like this. That shape, that little hook. It's like precision fatwood cutting. Anyway, a lot of people know that I've done reviews on the Wildlife Hatchets, and they're wondering why I like it so much. It's just a Swiss Army knife hatchets. Not as heavy as the Holtzbrook, but a lot more finesse. Hit a good vein of pine resin in this batch. That's some real sticky stuff there. Well, friends, not much to do now except burn off the waste product here. It's torching up like whale blubber. That's pure Okanagan gold. Even the trimmings are pretty volatile. We got 2 big apple boxes full of Okanagan gold. Anyhow, that ought to be enough to get us through winter, and it's such a nice thing to have, everything ready to go. And that about does it. Thanks for joining me on this. I'm going to call it a day. But until next time, God bless, happy trails. This is West Fork, over and out.